Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I bid to both of my panels, Madam Salma binti Abdul Razak and Dr. Nur Juliana binti Abdul Majid. So my name is Nur Zafira binti Lamri from PISNP Tesel 2 June 2017. And today I'm going to present to you my research report entitled The Use of 21st Century Teaching and Learning Strategies Among Trainee Teachers in IPGKDRI. So based on the background of the studies, stated that as for the trainee teachers or practicum teachers of Institute of Teachers Education, or normally known as IPG, it is compulsory for them to be updated with the latest teaching and learning strategies in order for them to fit in with the latest teaching and learning environment. So Ibrahim 2019 also stated that teaching practicum is a component in preparing the student to be a beginner teacher or to be a novice teacher, yet there are still a lot of preparation and improvement needed for the trainee teachers before he or she could teach in a school. And then teacher acts as facilitators, which is it is the basic concept of 21st century teaching and learning to make sure that the teacher did not spoon-feed them, but the teacher acts as facilitator. So for my statement of the problems, recent studies stated that there are not many dialogues or discussion or even research going on relating to the 21st century teaching and learning strategies in Malaysia, as stated by Yusuf Hashim 2014, and also small numbers of studies or research on implementation of 21st century teaching and learning strategies from East Coast Zone, which include Kelantan, Terengganu, and Pahang. Okay, next is the purpose of the study is to test the theory of multiple intelligences by Howard Gardner, which relates with the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies to the problems of implementing the 21st century teaching and learning strategies among trainee teachers in IPGKDRI. So for my research objective, there are two research objectives, which is number one is to find out the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies among trainee teachers in IPGKDRI during their second phase of practicum. And second objective is to investigate the problems faced by trainee teachers in IPGKDRI in implementing 21st century teaching and learning strategies. So next is research question. I present to you two research questions, which is number one, what are the 21st century teaching and learning strategies used by the TESOL trainee teachers during the second phase of practicum? And research question 2 is what are the problems faced by the TESOL trainee teachers in implementing the 21st century teaching and learning strategies? So based on my research, the significance of the research is the trainee teachers, lecturers, and other higher learning institutions will get practical information about the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies among trainee teachers in IPGKDRI. And also, trainee teachers, especially in KDRI, can evaluate how far did they use or did they implement the 21st century teaching and learning, or did they use the traditional way. And for this information, it will also assist the lecturers and training teachers in finding the solution on how to increase the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies during the teaching process. Okay, for related past research, stated by Norizan Ibrahim, Azlina Azrai, Rozilawati Nuet, and Siti Fairuz Dalim 2019. They reported that chalk and thought is the main technique used for teaching in classroom among trainee teachers. So it means that the trainee teachers choose to use conventional or traditional way instead of 21st century teaching and learning. Garba by Bazri and Bustami 2015 also stated that the key factors of why teachers did not apply the 21st century teaching and learning is one of them is because lacking of ICT facilities and also infrastructures. For example, the schools didn't provide enough facilities for the teachers to implement the 21st century teaching and learning strategies. And also, Nur Azlin Muhammad Rustin 2018 stated in her research that most of the teachers are ready to implement the 21st century teaching and learning, but the teachers' understanding related to the 21st century skill is still at the moderate level, which means they still in need of additional information on how to implement 21st century teaching and learning strategies in their classroom. For my research design, the researcher employs a survey research design to carry out this study, and this is a quantitative method which uses questionnaire. And for the population and sample, the population consists of 116 trainee teachers, which are June 2017 intake from IPGKDRI. And for the sample, it consists of 35 trainee teachers which are TESOL June 2017 intake from IPGKDRI. So for instruments for my data collection, Google Form is the main platform for collecting data, which consists of three constructs. Construct number 1, asking about demographic information. Construct 2, the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies among trainee teachers in IPGKDRI, and construct 3 ask about the problems for them in implementation of 21st century teaching and learning strategies. So for my research procedure, first of all, I identified the issue, which is the issue is the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies. So I wrote and prepared proposal choosing target sample, which is TESOL June 2017 intake, and then conducted a pilot study, and based on the pilot study I analyzed using the Chromebook Alpha to test the reliability, and based on the result, the Chromebook Alpha's level is at 0.94, which is really the questionnaire are reliable. And then establishing reliability of instrument, as I stated before, collecting and analyzing data using SPSS software, and lastly is writing and presenting my report. Okay, for the data collection procedures, distributing Google Form link to selected teacher trainees via WhatsApp application, and then collecting data which use Google Form also, which was transferred into Excel, and then into for analyzing using SPSS software. So for the data analysis procedures, I use the SPSS, which is statistical package for social sciences, and descriptive analysis, which analyze the mean and standard deviation for each construct. And then I conducted a correlation analysis between both of the variables, which is the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies among trainee teachers in IPGKDRI, and also the correlation between the problems in implementing 21st century teaching and learning strategies. And also I wrote a report based on the analysis. I wrote a report. And then for the conceptual framework, the Theory of Multiple Intelligence by Howard Gardner, 1993, and 6 C's in Education by Brian Miller, and also 21st Century Skills the main factors that leads to the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies. And also I will find out on the problems in implementing 21st century teaching and learning strategies. So this is my data finding based on both of the construct, which is construct B, the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies, and construct C, which is problems in implementing the 21st century teaching and learning strategies. Okay, as we can see, the mean for the construct B, which is the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies, is 4.49, which is the interpretation is very high, which means that the trainee teachers in IPGKDRI used the 21st century teaching and learning strategies during their second phase of practicum, and based on the problems in implementing the 21st century teaching and learning strategies, the mean is 3.99, which is quite high, and it means that the trainee teachers does not have major problems for them in implementing the 21st century teaching and learning strategies. So based on the correlation analysis, what can I summarize is that the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies correlate with the problems in implementation of 21st century teaching and learning strategies, and the correlation significant is at the 0.01 level at 2 tail, as we can see. And for the discussion, the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies among teacher trainees, what can I conclude is the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies among teacher trainees in IPGKDRI is at very high level, which means that they really implement the 21st century teaching and learning strategies during their second phase of practicum, and indicates that teacher trainees use 21st century teaching and learning strategies similar to what is being posed by Nur Azlin Muhammad Rusdin 2018 in her findings. And also for the problems faced by TESOL teacher trainees, trainee teachers in implementation of 21st century teaching and learning strategies, what can I conclude is that TESOL trainee teachers did not have major problems for them in implementing the 21st century teaching and learning strategies similar to Nur Azlin Muhammad Rusdin 2018's findings, and just a small number of them, the trainee teachers, claims that their practicum schools did not provide enough facilities in order for them to implement the 21st century teaching and learning in their classroom. So for the conclusion, what can I conclude? That most of the TESOL trainee teachers used the 21st century teaching and learning strategies during their second phase of practicum. However, there are still a small number of them who did not use the 21st century teaching and learning strategies in their classroom, maybe due to some other factors or problems. And the use of 21st century teaching and learning strategies among trainee teachers is a very high level. And as some of the TESOL trainee teachers claims that they had problems in implementation of 21st century teaching and learning strategies due to lack of facilities provided by the school, which means that their school didn't provide enough facilities such as labs or others, but there are still a huge number of them that claims they did not have problems in implementing 21st century teaching and learning strategies during their second phase of practicum. Moving on to the recommendations of this study, further research can be done by increasing the number of samples into other courses as well, such as Sains, Bahasa Melayu, and also Pendidikan Agama Islam. And it does not limit into TESOL trainee teachers only. And furthermore, the researcher recommends for further study to broaden the respondents to another location as well, in order to ensure that trainee teachers from various demographic area is included in the research. And for my last slide, which is the implications, the first one is the teachers should be provided with chances or meaningful resources and guidance for them to implement the 21st century teaching and learning strategies, as been stated by Nur Azlin Muhammad Rustin 2018. And also schools also should be provided with enough facilities and technologies in order for the teachers could implement the 21st century teaching and learning strategies in their classroom. And lastly, hopefully this research can help the Ministry of Education for them to design and amend a better curriculum in the future for our generation as well in the Malaysian education blueprint 2015 until 2025, as it stated that to build the human capital in the future. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.